Aloha, I'm Lyla Berg, and we're here at Hawaii's Plantation Villages in Waipahu, ready to converse with the people who inspire, inform, and impact our daily lives. Thank you for joining us on Island Focus. So, is this an original building where we are?
No, this is a replica, as most of our buildings are on our museum property. We do have one original building.
And where would that be?
So this is our Chinese kitchen. It was built around 1910.
It was used as a family gathering place or for social gatherings?
It was mostly for social gatherings for the Sungni Society.
Which is representative of this building.
Right.
And so when we talk about the Chinese in general, where were they in the wave of immigrants that were coming in?
So the Chinese were the first immigrant group to come to Hawaii, about 1850. About 46,000 of them came to Hawaii to work in the sugar plantations.
And did they come with their families? Or?
No, most of them were men and single men, and their purpose to come here was to make money to go home, hopefully rich. But a lot of them stayed on, went on to California, or made a new life for them in America.
You know, we don't always think about the different cultures that were our ancestors here in Hawaii when we're growing up. It's sort of the purpose of the plantation villages, isn't it?
The immigrants that came, the Portuguese, Puerto Ricans, Filipinos, this was their start.
I love this building. I love the color, and especially the fact that it sits a little bit higher, so it kind of looks over the landscape. Very impressive. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm here with Deanna Espinas, who is the Acting Executive Director for the Hawaii Plantation Villages. Thank you for joining us. And much mahalo to you for being with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Did your background prepare you to be the acting executive director?
No, I had actually served on the board of directors for several years, but I was also part of the Filipino American Historical Society and wanted to help in some way. Little did I realize that 4 years ago I would have to serve as the acting executive director.
And you know, I don't like the word acting, so I know that you are very definitely in this leadership position.
For now, yes.
What's special about this place for you?
I think if you know about Hawaii's Plantation Village, you feel like you've left the main road of Waipahu Street and have gone off into another world, because it's trying to capture the stories of those who came in the late 1800s to work on the plantation. And if you have the chance to visit the houses, you'll see that the various ethnic groups that came brought an element of their lives from the countries they came from for a better life here in Hawaii, and that's magical.
You know, we tend to forget, growing up here in Hawaii, with its modern technology and everything that prepares us, right, for the 21st century. We forget where we come from. Mm-hmm. And so this place reminds us.
It reminds you that these were perhaps some people's grandparents, great-grandparents, who came from another world on a ship. And when they landed in Hawaii, what was it like to say, how do I bring up my family, or how do I survive as an individual? And you're in a different country also.
In your past career, and maybe you could share a little bit about that, what is the role of culture?
I retired from the Department of Public Safety, Library Services in 2014. And even while working with the department, the prison system, I found that culture played a very important element. I was involved with the Filipino American Historical Society, and it was always the intent of our group to capture the stories of our grandparents, our parents. What is it like coming from another country to find a new life? What were some of the struggles? And what do we, as the children, learn from that?
You know, what really touches me about that is it's more than history.
Mm-hmm.
It really is about our present.
Right, right. Because you know that our parents had to make some adjustments and sacrifices, and I'm sure they must have felt so alone, isolated. If they weren't speaking English properly, how did they get their thoughts across? And if they tried to find employment or get an education, what were the barriers and what were the challenges and how did they overcome it? And what happened to them when they successfully bring up their families finally? And what are their hopes for us as the future?
What are some of the challenges?
The challenge is that this is a nonprofit. We are actually the Friends of Waipahu Cultural Garden Park, doing business as Hawaii's Plantation Village. And that means there needs to be funding, and you also need support of volunteers or others who want to capture the story of the plantation workers, the early plantation workers, and keep these memories alive by our outreach to the children of the future who come to visit and say, you mean this is how people used to live?
Yeah. So if you had a parting thought, because our interview is about over right now, what might be that to encourage the public?
I would love for each of them to come and visit us. We have a lot of new free activities throughout the year, but I think what sticks out in my mind is one child who saw me sitting here by myself one day. They go, Mom or Auntie, Auntie, you live here? I go, oh, no, I get to go home. But I guess he thought that this is a place that I live. And I said, oh, that's a thought. This was a place where people used to live.
Yes.
And their stories are still alive.
Well, I'm glad you took that as a compliment.
Yes.
Thank you very much for being with us today.
My pleasure.
We've been chatting with Deanna Espinas, who is the Acting Executive Director for the Hawaii Plantation Villages. Thank you for being with us. Mahalo for joining me on Island Focus and tuning in to our conversation with Calvin Ching, who is the Deputy Chief Court Administrator. That is a mouthful of a title.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you for being with us.
Absolutely. And thank you for having me here today and letting me share my stories and my career in life. So,
please share with us a little bit about what that title means and your projects right now.
Right. I'm the Deputy Chief Court Administrator. I oversee about 500 employees on the island of Oʻahu, and all of them are involved in court operations and court services. So anything that's filed with the court, goes into court, and comes out of court is my responsibility. That's
a huge responsibility, and you seem to love it.
I do, actually, and I've been with the courts for 46 years, and it seems like just yesterday.
Is being an attorney your background?
No, actually, I'm not. And I went to University of Hawaii, born and raised here, and just started at the courts as a clerk and worked my way up through the system. And then in 1978, if I could digress a bit, I was actually elected to the Constitutional Convention, served as the vice chair of the Judiciary Committee, and was able to make some very remarkable changes. And so I stayed, and in my career, I feel like sometimes I'm living through history.
And you made the decision not to run for a political office, but to stay in the system.
To stay in the system and see if I could help improve the courts, and with the changes we made, such as the appellate court and other improvements, and just help the courts move into the modern times.
And you have a very exciting project going on now, I think.
Oh, absolutely. And and that's what keeps me going. I keep telling my staff I should have gone a long time ago. But about a year and a half, we started what we call the Community Outreach Court. And basically what it is this collaborative effort that we made with the Public Prosecutor's Office and the Public Defender's Office. And basically we go out into the community and we try to assist those individuals who are homeless and may have a number of outstanding criminal and traffic violations.
And when you say you assist the community members, how does that work?
Well, again, it's a collaborative effort. So the Public Defender's Office will go out and they'll interview and work with the homeless individuals, and they'll screen them. And if they feel that somebody meets the requirements of the court, they'll take that to the prosecutor's office and they'll try to work out some sort of plea deals and bring it to the courts. And last year, the legislature was very generous. They funded the program. Act 55 provided funding for all three of us, and the goal of Act 55 really is for us to take the court into the community, into homeless areas where they're non-traditional court settings.
So if the Constitutional Convention in 1978 spurred you on to this career, does that mean that you're in favor of having one?
Well,
again?
yeah, I think so. It's been about 50 years now, and so I think ideas, changes, society, I think we need to just put things on the table and discuss. There's nothing wrong with discussing. So.
Well, we appreciate your years of service and your dedication and commitment to the community. We're at Hawaii Plantation Villages here, which is a reminder of how important the community is. Absolutely. Parting words as we end our interview.
Go forth and conquer, and there's no mountain too high. This program, we've affected people's lives. People have gotten off the street. People have found jobs, homes. We've connected them with service providers. Admittedly, we cannot solve the entire homeless program, but we take our best shot at the slice of life that we can handle.
And what a generous contribution you're making as your career moves to another phase.
Quite shortly, I hope.
Thank you very much for joining us. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Lyla.
We've been chatting with Calvin Ching, who is the Deputy Chief Court Administrator. Thank you for being with us. We're on the grounds of Hawaii's Plantation Villages in Waipahu, and I'm speaking with MANNY CABRAL, who is the Chancellor of Leeward Community College. Appreciate you being with us, and really appreciate your time.
Oh, my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
This whole area is very special to you.
Well, I've been at Leeward now for 38 years, and I started my professional academic career at Leeward in 1980. Was faculty member for 27 years in the math department, and then became chancellor 11 years ago.
What a joy and an honor it must be
Yes.
for you to be in this leadership position.
Yeah. Well, I think for me, when I became the chancellor, I just felt so privileged to be part of Leeward's journey. And having been at Leeward as faculty for so many years, I have such love for the campus and love for the Ohana there, that my goal is always to kind of make sure that Leeward got credit for the wonderful things that we're doing, and to continue to move everyone forward and the campus forward, because we want our students to succeed.
I'm a proponent of community colleges, and with the challenge of having a four-year program out there, West Oʻahu College,
Yes.
how does that work for the students?
Yeah. Well, there was some concern at the beginning when West Oʻahu was coming up that, well, how is that going to impact Leeward? Because we were pretty much the only public education institution on this side of the island. When West Oʻahu actually got their full campus and went to offering 4 years, it actually, I think, has worked out very well. Leeward's continued to thrive. We've partnered with UH West Oʻahu so that our students can fluidly transfer over, or after completing their AA degree, move into the baccalaureate program at West Oʻahu. For our students, what we found is that the pathway between West Oʻahu and Leeward is quite fluid. Sometimes we have students who start at West Oʻahu, but then they decide, I think I want to go to Leeward and do my first 2 years, so they come back to us. But then when they're done, they go back to West Oʻahu. But it's been a great partnership. But the main thing is that I think it's provided opportunities for our students in the area, which is what we're all about.
And you have great community programs as well. I got my motorcycle license training there.
Yes. Well, we have our, obviously through our non-credit program, motorcycle training. But I think one of the best things that's happened with Leeward, when Leeward came about in 1968, it was thought of as the liberal arts institution. That's our role. But as the world's changed, we've had to evolve into workforce development and really expand what we're offering programmatically. So when you took on the motorcycle classes in non-credit, we've actually incubated several different programs in that non-credit program first, which have now moved into the degree program on the credit side. So we have our health information technology program, and we just started a new one, integrated industrial technology. So
Wow.
that bridge has really kind of grown and expanded, and it's basically, I think, the best way we can serve our community.
We're here because we want to remind people of the community in which we've come. What is special about this area for you?
I think the commitment to serving the community is very, very bold. I'm really proud of the work we're doing with Waipahu High School in particular. We have been involved in the early college program with Waipahu. And working with Principal Keith Hayashi has been probably one of the most rewarding experiences I've had. We now have, in May of this year, we will have 12 Waipahu school students completing their 2-year college degree while still in high school. They'll be graduating on May 11th from Leeward, and a week later, will be getting their high school diploma. So they will have 2 years done already by the
Fabulous.
time they finish.
Fabulous.
And it's really about that. And I think our campus has always been about serving the Leeward Coast. So that's from Waipahu, we're talking through Kapolei, Waianae, Nanakuli. And I don't know if people know this, but we also have a very strong presence out in Waianae. We just purchased and opened up a brand new education center in Waianae. It's in Maili, but we call it Leeward Waianae Moku. But we've had a presence out on the Leeward Coast since the early 70s.
Thank you very much for your
Thank you
time
very
and
much.
for sharing your enthusiasm.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you for listening in on Island Focus to my conversation with Manny CABRAL, who is the Chancellor of Leeward Community College. Aloha. So as we're strolling along here, we've seen the various houses from the different cultures. We're coming to the Portuguese example. I know you're very attached to this culture. What's special about the Portuguese arriving?
Well, they came in 1878. One of the big contributions, Portuguese brought with them the forna. Yeah, up to that point, our staple in Hawaii was either rice or poi. So now we're able to do white bread.
Or sweetbread.
Later on, pandu, sweet bread, malasadas, Portuguese sausage.
And they also brought the ukulele.
Right. They brought what they call the brahanya. And when the Hawaiians first saw somebody playing the brahanya, reminded them of dancing fleas. So uku in Hawaiian
Right.
is fleas, lele, dancing. So ukulele came to Hawaii.
Amazing, amazing. And different from the Chinese, they came afterward.
They came right after the Chinese. Big difference is they were able to bring their families, okay, because of the distance they had to travel. So Portuguese came over with families.
And I love the fact that they have a European influence and brought that flavor, if you will, to our mix. Thank you so much for your dedication to this place and also for giving us a little more information on history. Today on Island Focus, I have the pleasure of speaking with Kara DOLES, who is with the Legal Aid Society of Hawaii. Appreciate you being with us, and you as well. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
We know a little bit about Legal Aid Society. What is your role there?
My role as Technology Project Coordinator.
And what exactly does that mean?
Well, Legal Aid Society of Hawaii is the state's largest nonprofit public interest law firm. So we provide services to low-income folks primarily. So legal services ranging in topics, so family law, consumer, housing, fair housing, and a bunch of other legal topics. And we provide services such as advice and counsel, brief services, as well as full representation. So there's a lot of direct services that we provide. As Technology Project Coordinator, I'm helping to coordinate one of the bigger, sort of larger impact projects.
So you've shared a number of different professional fields that are required to work in legal aid, being an attorney, technical skills. Is that your background?
Technology is not my background. Funnily enough, actually, I entered the role as project coordinator with a language background. So I have my bachelor's in French and philosophy. But technology is so versatile, and it is a form of language. It communicates ideas and information to the public. And so I just kind of put together all of my strengths and skill sets and tried to come up with, you know, a way that I could incorporate what I know and learn primarily on the spot. So it's a lot of on the ground, just figuring it out as I go.
Well, and I think there is actually some segue, because for some people, French, like
Right.
technology, is a foreign language.
Right,
And the legal profession is philosophy.
right.
So when you combine your skills, what are some of the challenges that you faced?
A lot of it is learning a new language, right? So technology itself is a language. And so learning all the terminology behind certain things, working with developers, coders, graphic designers, user experience professionals. Our latest project is with Microsoft, and we're building a legal access platform. And so a lot of that is just learning to communicate with the different players. And I think that that's been a challenge, but also an exhilarating opportunity for me. And so that's what I'm most excited about, is just this constant learning.
And how does the community know what's going on with legal aid?
We have a lot of outreach opportunities. A lot of our outreach staff and AmeriCorps advocates go out into the community to events and, you know, do the networking one-on-one with people with brochures and pamphlets. But we also have, you know, videos, legal information videos that are on YouTube, on our website. And then this last project that I've been heading is the Microsoft Legal Access platform, probably connecting with the Judiciary, because they are one of our bigger partners, and the library, to sort of get the word out about this project.
And so the public will have access, meaning the ability to reach legal aid a little easier.
Hopefully, and we want to not just have them be able to reach legal aid, but also our partners, our other access to justice organizations, as well as other social service providers, other organizations that provide help. So this idea of holistic services. And so we want, of course, them to come to legal aid, but we want them also to come to the right resource.
Well, I get that you have a lot of challenges, but also a lot of joy in doing the work you do. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Lyla.
We've been chatting with Kara DOLES, who is with the Legal Aid Society of Hawaii, and appreciate you listening in as well. I have the pleasure today of speaking with Elizabeth RAHR, who is the president of the Filipino Women's League. Thank you for being with us, and you as well. How grateful we are that you have a little bit of time to share today.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
So the Filipino Women's League is not a bowling team.
No, definitely. We have to clear it up real fast.
Please share with us what it is that you do.
We're a service organization. We're a 501c3 organization. So we do, a major thing is service. We do a lot of service projects through the year, and it's most volunteering our services. But we do adopt families at Thanksgiving and Christmas, and we adopt schools.
There are a number of different Filipino organizations.
Yes.
But I think yours is specifically unique.
I have to agree, yes. Beginning with our beginning, because it was started by Dr. Carl Manayan, and how it got started was she read in the Star Bulletin, one of the major newspapers at the time, that the Filipinos men were dying like dogs in Kona. So she went to check, and the reason is that they don't have anyone living with them. So when they go to check on them, the only ones that are around and they're dead is the dogs. So she took it, she said, we have to do something. And then she expanded her services to include helping the nurses maybe get together and get better benefits for them, and helping the youth, you know, that are in trouble. So we just started to expand. She had a vision, and she wanted the Filipino Women's League to be on every island. But it ended up that the only one that survived is our chapter. It's in Pearl City. So what makes us unique also is the fact that the members are comprised of the Filipinos that are born in the Philippines and the local Filipinas. I'm a local Filipina. And you don't have local Filipinos usually joining an organization. But we benefited so much from each other. We were taught by one of our members who was in the Bahanian to do dances. She choreographed our dances. We ended up dancing Waikiki, at conventions, and everywhere else. And also we have women in our club that use Filipino food. And also growing up in a plantation, you know, we're thinking, we're gonna lose this. So we published the first Hawai'i Filipino cookbook in Hawaii, the first one we did. And one of our projects is a scholarship. So preserving our culture and providing an education for our youth, that came in together like a perfect storm. Everything just worked out fine. We didn't know what we were doing, but we know we wanted to do it.
Well, what I get too from listening to you speak is that you might not have known exactly what to do, but your heart was there to stay connected with everybody.
Some of us, a lot of us are locally born, we don't identify being Filipino. So whenever we ask a question, or what's your nationality, we tend to say Filipino, Chinese, Spanish. We have a little of each, but I was having an identity crisis. So when I got to Dr. Carmanayan, because I felt I had to do something. And from there, and with all the Filipinos that I worked with, professional people and lay people, I developed so much pride. And when I learned my culture, and all the women in our club are so blessed to have shared the culture and published our cookbook, and we share it with everyone else in the community. Because that's what we do. We do artisan in the school, and we do artists in the communities.
So it's not only service and helping others, it's also supporting each other.
Oh, yes.
In the learning and the sharing.
Yes.
And it must have overflow into the families as well.
Yes, yes. In the beginning, we were very young, and we had children, and we said we'll join, and we didn't know what we were doing, but our husbands were so supportive, so that we would fly to Molokai and Maui, but everything we did, they supported us, and they still do. And now it's our children that support us.
Wonderful.
And now it's going to be our grandkids.
and they pass it on.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being with us today and sharing a little bit about what's important to you. We've been chatting with Elizabeth RAHR, who is the president of the Filipino Women's League. Thank you for being with us. Mahalo to Hawaii's plantation villages in Waipahu for hosting us today, and to you for tuning in to Island Focus. I'm Lyla Berg. Aloha and malama pono. Take care of each other. See you soon.